So it's getting recorded, right? Am I audible?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Yeah, get recorded, yeah.
So our first is like a reverse string. So they have given an array of characters. I mean, the input string is given as an array of characters, and without allocating extra space for another array, we need to reverse this array of characters without using any extra space. And yeah, so you can see this hello is reversed like this, and then again this character. So what would be the like brute force in this?
Oh, so reversing the string, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, someone is saying swap the first and last in the chat.
Yeah. It will work.
Right, that will work. What else? Do we really have a brute force for this, or is it just a direct
No, I mean
implementation?
same. I mean optimized and brute force both will be same only. I think.
Okay.
I don't think so. Anything apart from that, or is there? I
Yeah, me
shouldn't.
too.
Yeah. Just she wants to reach. I think she was pinging. If she wants to share the code.
I think brute force might be like create a new array and then start adding the
Yeah, but we are
element
not
to
supposed.
each.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
optimized that we are just swapping and we are going halfway till.
exactly. Yeah.
So brute force will be with extra space, O and space.
Yeah, sure. So you want to share the code? Or like it's like same start and end. As long as your start is less than end, just keep on swapping and increase the start and decrease the end. Right. So any doubt in this implementation?
No, it's okay.
We can, or anybody wants to share anything apart from this? So you can see. Okay, then let's switch to next. So here it's like they have given an array of strings which will compose of only of zeros and ones and two integers m and n. Now our task is to find the maximum number of strings that one can form with given m and n's. And each 0 and 1 can be used at most once. So your m is 5 and n is 3. So there are totally these four, what do you say, strings that you can form out of this combination, like 5 with 5 zeros and 3 ones.
It's like we need to use these strings to form these number of m's and n's. We need to return how many strings we'll be using to form, which can form 5 zeros and n 3 ones. That's why the answer is 4. Isn't that correct?
I think you can put it other way also, that with 5 m and 5 zeros and 3 ones, how many strings you can build?
Yeah, that's the only reverse thing. But yeah, so how many strings we'll be using to make these like this?
Yeah, so how would you go in a brute force way for this?
Okay, so we have at every step we have some number of zeros and some number of ones, right? So we check whether the present string we are at, it has lesser number of zeros than m and lesser number of ones than m. So if this is true, then we have two options. Like, if this is true, then we can take this. Otherwise, we can skip it. And we can do this for every string. So that typical knapsack approach. And at the end, if I'm left with m zeros and m equal to 0 and n equal to 0, then that shows that I've selected some sequence. And I in my answer I return the maximum of the options I've taken, like one by taking and the other by not taking.
Yeah. So would you like to show it on a whiteboard? Like, I mean, how is it similar to knapsack?
Okay. Do you mind if I use a text editor and type and then show?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So can you quickly tell me the example?
Your screen is visible.
1 0
Yeah.
1 0.
0 0 0 3 zeros and 1,
Okay.
and then 3 ones and 2 zeros and again 1. No, sorry, 3 ones, sorry. Then 2 zeros, 1. One more 1, yeah. And then just 1 and then another 0. Yeah. And m is equal to 5 and n is equal to 3.
Okay. So I start from my left side. I have
Excuse me,
m
guys.
and-
Can you explain me what the question is? Or
Yeah, so the question is that out of these m zeros and n ones, we have to find the maximum number of strings we can make. Okay, let me go to the question for you. So this is the array we have, array of strings. These are binary strings, and we are given the number of zeros and number of ones, and we have to output the maximum number of strings we can make using these m zeros and n ones. So in this case, we have 5 m's and 3 ones. So one of the option is like 1 0. We take this one. We take this. Now after this, we are left with 1 0 and 1 1. So we take these two. So we get 4 strings. Does that help?
okay, so you have to make a string from 5 ones and 3 zeros. Is that it? Or,
Yeah. I mean, the maximum number of strings we can,
got
make.
it. Got it.
Like
Got
m
it.
is 0 and n is for 1. So here it's like 5 zeros and 3 ones.
Got it. So maximum number of ones we can use is are three ones we can use, and maximum zeros we can use are 5
Yes.
to make a string.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Total
got it.
strings. The total numbers. Okay. So what I was saying is that at we are at this string. Okay. So my number of ones in this string is 1, and number of zeros is 1, which is evidently less than the number of zeros and ones I have at this. So I have two options now. So option 1 is I don't take it. like I simply just pass on this, and the other option is that I take it. I take this string as a part of my answer because it's a valid string considering the number of ones and zeros I have. So and next I move to this 000 and 1. So at this I have number of ones is 1 and number of zeros is 3. And okay, so here I pass the empty string and my number of ones and zeros, they remain same. Here I have to subtract and pass. So number of zeros would be 4 and number of ones would be 2. Okay, so let's say I reach to this string via option 1. So I can take it, right? Again, two cases. I either take it or I don't take it. So if I take it, then considering I'm reaching from the first one, this one, so I'll have this string with me. So basically, I'm maintaining a count for this or for the string. So let's just put this in the array. Now my leftover ones would be 4, and my leftover zeros would be 0. Okay, so again, now I move to this.
I think the leftover are 5 minus 3 zeros should
M
be
is
2.
for 0, N is for 1. Yeah.
M is for 0 and N is for 1. Yes. And
Okay.
5, you have already used 3 zeros. Yeah. And here would be 2.
Yeah. So at this stage, considering this path only, I cannot take the string because the number of zeros are in number of ones here are 4 and number of zeros are 2. So I cannot take the string. So I have the only option of moving forward without doing anything. So at this stage, my sequence would be this only, 2, 2. So next I come to this 1. So here I have this provision. I can take this. So I take it and I move on. So
Should it be 00121 or
so this you talking
no,
about
no,
this?
no, the above one.
This
It's
one?
like 00121, right?
No, at this point I cannot because the number of ones
No, no,
are
no.
4.
Even before that, if you see, we already consumed like one more one here, right?
Yes. So I'm
It's coming from the second option, I think.
I'm coming from this option.
Yeah, from 3 you consumed 1 in the first step, and then in the second step you consumed one more 1. It should be 1, is it?
No, this
I think
option is
so.
coming from OPT2.
I'm coming from option 1.
Mhm.
So I have 5 zeros here and I
Yeah.
have 3 zeros here. So I subtract 5 minus 3 and
Yeah.
I make this 2, and I have 3 ones here
Okay.
and I
Okay.
subtract 1. Yeah. So
Okay. You are not taking it from option 2, is it? You're taking from
yeah, so
option 1. Okay.
yeah, so that would be the same path. Again, 2 choices for that sequence also. So I'm taking for option 1 here.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So where was I? I was at 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have decided to take 1 because it fits in my criteria of this. So when I pass on, this is my kind of string I'm maintaining, and this is my leftover. So this would be 2, I think, and this would be 1. Yeah. So at the last step also, if I take it, so because I can take it, so the number of zeros are more. So I'll just add this to my set of strings 0001 comma 1 comma 0 comma 1 comma 1. Okay, so this is what I'm left. This is what happens when I'm at the end of my array. So since I've reached my end of the array, I'll return 0. And at every step after obtaining my answer for option 1 and option 2, I return my max. So as we can see, we have this thing left. So this would be, I mean, if I had taken my string, if I had taken my initial string, then 1 0 would also have been a part of the sequence. And in that case, my answer would have been 4. So at every step, I'm making a choice for the string. Like if it's valid string for that particular number of ones and zeros, I take it, or I do not take it. And then I, you know, return the maximum.
Makes sense.
So this is the code.
Recursive approach.
So I've used 3D DP for this because there are 3 states. One is the position of the sequence, second is the number of zeros, and third is the number of ones. So this is my 3D DP, line number 25. And I've maintained a vector count where I've separately counted the number of ones and number of zeros for each string. So this vector is count in the line number 28. Now, so the C is the size of strs. I've initialized on line 27. Now I'm going to each string, checking whether that character is 0 or not. And if it's 0, I'm increasing the number of zeros count. And at the end, at each position in the count array, I'm storing the number of zeros and the number of ones. So number of ones would be this, the size of the string minus number of zeros. So now I pass on this array to my, my initial index, number of zeros, number of ones, and my memo to this helper function. Now, okay. So I'm doing that normal recursive approach. The first option is when I'm skipping that particular string. And the second option, I have to check whether I can take that string or not. So I check here in line number 17 if my first number of zeros is less than the number of zeros I have at that point, and similarly for the number of ones. If that is true, then I increase my, like I'm returning the count. So I do 1 plus the vector, I increase my index, I decrease the number of 0 count, number of 1 count, and I pass on this memo. So after coming back from these 2 calls, I'm storing in this at this DP position, and I'm returning the maximum. And if I have already computed something, then I'm simply returning that stored value.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I get the logic, but I still don't get the part where, you know, this DP thing is arising. Like I'm not getting it. Why we are using this DP thing?
Okay. So if you like, okay. So if you look at these 2 states, so let me show that. Okay, I'll show it here. So let's say initially my state is I comma j. So from here I have 2 options, right? I can go to I comma m comma n. So I can do it this like this, I plus 1 comma m comma n, and the next would be say I plus 1 comma. I think let's take an example that would clear more.
Yeah, actually, the DB thing will be because, you know, you have to look for each and every combination of each and every string, right? And find out how you can fit with that M and N, right? So for that, you'll have to look for all the combinations. So it will be a recursive approach, correct?
Yeah.
And so DP is one of the way, actually, you can take DP's help and you can optimize the solution.
Yeah.
Or else, I'm not sure. Like if you go for, did we discuss the brute force?
So my brute force, I did finish it by
Okay.
not taking the DP array, just by making those two calls. So that was timing out
Yeah, so it will time out, right?
because there are some overlapping subproblems.
Correct. Yeah, so in that case, actually, if you use a top-down approach, you can actually store some of the values, and you can use those values further.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So it's like this binary thing, right? Whether we are either taking one element or we are not taking it, right? It's like that. So when
Yeah.
we start from first element to the last element itself, then we see that if we are taking that element, if we are considering that element, it means we are using M and N, right? If we are taking that element, else we will skip it and we'll go to the next element or something like that.
Right.
So when's the case arising of the similar cases of the memorization thing? This is something, right, rather simple, right? If we are taking the first element, then one case could be that we are only taking the first element only. Else we have many cases which includes first, second, fourth, fifth, and any example like that, like you 2 to the power 5, right? 5 to the power yeah, 2 to the power 5. Okay, 2 to the power 5. So you are saying that in these 2 to the power 5 cases, we have some cases which are similar to each other. You are saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, in some cases, surely, yeah. And therefore, we want to use that computation, when we are doing some other advanced states, correct? So we need to store those values. So we don't actually have an exponential or time complexity, but it will at least reduce to some polynomial time complexity, correct?
But 2 to the power 5 cases, aren't they exclusive to each other? Like if we are taking 2 to the power 5 cases, what this signifies is that these are the possible combinations of this given, right? So if we have first element in one array, in one possible combination, in the second possible combination, how it can be possible? Like it would have first element also. Sorry, it would have only first element. It would be something which has other than first element, like it can have first element, and at the same time it will surely have some other elements, right?
Right. So we are looking for the maximum number we can, maximum number of strings. So for example, see in this example 1. So while I was explaining for this example, when I came to the string 111 and 001, I just could not take it because I didn't have the sufficient number of ones and zeros. All right.
Yeah.
So suppose I had the number of zeros and number of ones required to include this string. All right. So I would have taken this string, but this string is a longer one. So at the cost of this string in the future, I might not be able to take strings which were shorter than this and would have contributed more to my count.
Okay, so you are saying, but we can do one thing, right? Like I tried doing this question using the approach. Like what I did, I basically first sorted this array on the basis of the size of each element. Okay, I sorted it, but the case where I got stuck was when first element one element was 000. Sorry, 111. First element was 111. The other three were 1000. 111. And
you tried
1000.
a greedy approach, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we can use greedy in this. I mean, even I tried that, but I don't think that we'll be able to use greedy in this.
I got stuck with my approach in this case itself only. Like 111, 1000, 1000, 1000, 3 times 1000.
how did you sort it initially? On the basis of length.
Yeah, on the basis of length.
Yeah, these are strings, right? You can just sort in an alphabetical order. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I sorted them in this way using a comparator. And the case where I got stuck was this one. This was
I
the
mean,
case. Yeah.
I don't think that we can actually use this approach. So there will be, even if you somehow like hard code for these values and pass this case, there will be other cases as well where I think this will fail. This approach will fail.
Yeah. I'm just making sure, like you just said, right, that we couldn't do something or something like that because of the length approach, length thing. So I'm saying, can we just sort this array like this on the basis of it, the size of each elements, and then we could do something over it.
So even if you do that, even if you sort it, you will still have some test cases. Okay, in that case, it won't work.
Yeah,
because you will have to go through each and every combination to arrive at the optimal solution. So, so that is what we have to break down the problem in sub problems. Correct. That is what he is doing. So if you break down the problems and then actually you take the max value and then you store that max value. Why we are storing? This is for the memoization part of the DP, correct? So if you store those values, then only you can build on that.
Excuse me, sir. Can we have some dry run of an example where we can get the case of that memorization thing?
That is what he was explaining here, right?
So
Harshit is explaining here.
To appreciate memoization, we need a very big example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here also in this case, if you see OP1, OP2, the way he is explaining, that makes sense, right? Okay. There he cannot say anything about the memoization here, but at least that makes sense, correct, Gaurav?
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah.
I think if we just go by recursive way to explain once, then I think the DP will make more sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because suddenly if we start talking about the state, then it adds more confusion. So it's just the one recursive and we are optimizing it with DP. So if we explain the DP, the recursive, then it will be more clear to everyone.
Okay, so you want me to go through the recursive part again?
I think this is
Just
the
for
recursive, right?
Yeah, code wise, because code is looking little.
She wants you to go through walk through the code.
Okay. So my first, I'm passing three things: my position, number of zeros, and number of ones. Let's forget this DP array for now. And my first recursive call is this, where I'm just ignoring my current string and I'm moving on. And my second recursive call is taken care by option 2. But for this, I'll have to check the number of zeros and number of ones in my string I'm currently at. So if the number of zeros are lesser and the number of ones are lesser, that means I can include it as one of my possible sequences, and then I can move forward. So I am including that particular string, that is by this 1 plus, because I need the count. And then in my recursive call, I'm passing the vector, I'm increasing the position, and I'm decreasing the number of zeros by this. So vi dot first is the number of zeros in my string I, and number of ones is this. So I subtract this from the number of ones and zeros I have, and then I pass it on. So these are my two recursive calls. So if this DP had not be there, so I would have simply returned this max of option 1 comma option 2. So this is the without DP solution.
Okay. Let me see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. That's like it.
So
ith element is the state of I. What we are saying here is that count till the ith element we use, from 0 to ith element, right? Or
so
count it gives.
Count is maintained by this thing. Like if I'm picking a string, I'm just adding 1 and returning that.
Yeah. But the DPI, what is this I state like? Is it
I is the
ith
position.
element only or till I?
No, ith element, the position.
I think it will be till I, right?
Till I, right?
Before I, because we are actually storing the max.
In the state, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
From
in the state, yeah.
Right.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
My
Thank
answer
you.
would be in dp of this the size m and this n.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. If it's till I.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the complexity I think is this the string length into the number of zeros into the number of ones. 6000 into 100 into 100. Sorry, this 100 into 100. And I'm using a lot of space, so the space complexity is also the same.
So what will be the time complexity if we don't use the memoization? 2 to the power,
So you don't use the memoization, then it would be exponential.
like 2 to the power of n, right? Because we have two options,
Right.
use it or lose it.
2 to
Right?
the
Right.
power. Yeah.
Okay.
So here m and n will also like dictate. So we have to take the maximum of
How
I
do
comma n.
we get the time complexity including that? Like
Time
what
com-
without memoization, what will be the time complexity for this?
So it will be exponential only.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact, but it would be exponential.
It will be 2 raised to whatever the number
2
of
raised to the power
size
Yeah,
of the
it's 2
string.
raised
Yeah.
to power, like number of strings are there, I think.
I think it will be 2 raised to power number of strings into number of words, maybe.
Yep, right. Because I'm counting the number of no, but I'm doing that thing separately.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah. So it would be 2 to the power number of strings.
Right.
m and n will not count in that case then, right?
No, actually, MNN is just an input.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay.
just a further calculation, but
Yeah.
main is we are taking that string and going on 2 paths. Every
Yeah.
string we
Okay.
are going for 2 paths.
Okay.
Yeah, right. M and n would count. I said that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Without memoization, it gives the TLE, so it doesn't pass the let go.
Yeah.
So with memoization, you are saying its complexity reduces to?
So it reduces to the total number of states I'm exploring, and that is the string length into the number of zeros into number of ones. So 600
Which
into
is like,
100.
let's say if string length is k,
So
then
there,
k into m into n, correct?
Yeah.
right.
Or k into m plus n, because
No, I'm
K
maintaining
into m into n, I think.
M into n. K
okay,
into m into n.
okay.
It's like the size of that memo array.
Yeah. So space complexity would also be the same. Okay.
Yeah.
We can switch to next, like third one.
Did anyone try to reduce that complexity?
So I saw that solution. Yeah. It can be
No.
done. The space complexity can be reduced.
So you are saying bottoms up approach?
No, we can modify the DP state. If you want, I can quickly show that solution from the solution. It's the bottom up approach only. this one. So here he's using this dp of ij, where ij represents the maximum number of strings that can be made using I number of zeros and j number of ones.
Okay.
So he is going to every string, and so the time complexity remains same. He's going to every string, he's going to every 0 count and 1 count, and I like this. So he's this is the thing. He's just checking that do I have what is the number of strings with this number of zeros and this number of ones, where count 0 is the number of zeros in this particular string and count 1 is the number of ones, and he's then returning the dp of mn.
So I didn't understand one thing in this here, no? Like why starting from M and then going to till only count of 0? Why it's not the other way from 0 to count 0?
So if the number of zeros is greater than, then there's no point, no? Then for example I have say 3 zeros and the number of zeros in my present string are 4. So I just skip that iteration.
Okay.
We can write in either way, right? So we can place the ones for loop above and zeros for.
Yeah, you can start from 0 equal to 0 also, like from the top left of the.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you share this code?
Sure.
Thank you.
Actually,
Okay,
we are reducing the space complexity, but I saw a thread where he was trying to do in MN, I guess.
Okay. In the discussions?
Yeah, the first thread discuss.
So space is going to be constant?
No. Space is till O of Mn itself, but the time complexity is also O of Mn.
Huh. Okay.
Okay.
Somewhat the code looks similar, but
this one.
Yeah, the first one itself. Yeah.
Is it linear?
They are doing it in MN. I'm not sure how are they getting it.
It's mn multiplied by n, right? Because we have
Yeah.
That is also good.
No. Okay, that loop.
No, it's not M I
the
N.
same.
It is L also, right? He's taken the strings also into account.
Yeah, they are the same. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. This thing. Okay.
Yeah, so this is our third problem. Like they have given a begin and end word and a dictionary word list. We are supposed to find the shortest sequence from begin to end. The rule is like only one letter supposed to change at a time, and each transformed word should exist in the list. And we have to return empty list if there are no such transformation sequence. They have the same length, lowercase letters, no duplicates in your word list, and begin and end word are non-empty. So it's like here we go, and So this is our start word, hit. From hit we can go to hot. From hot you can go to dot because one word is changing. From dot you can go to lot, and from lot you can go to log. From log to cog, and cog to finally dog. So
Cog is our end word, right?
pardon?
Cog is our end word in this case.
Yeah, oh, so we have
Just a cog, yeah.
Then, yeah. If cog is, then we have to visit log to dog and then cog.
Right.
It's like if dog is the end word, then this will be like iteration.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are. I mean, how many such possible like sequences can be that we have to mention?
The shortest one.
Yeah, shortest one. Yeah.
So also in this case, the begin word won't be in the part of the word list, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Begin word won't be a part of your word list.
Yes, sorry, word, Sonia.
No, it's there. Like HIT is there. Begin and end words are there. And it's not, I think, based on shortest. It's like how many you can find. It's like how many parts are there and you need to put those parts.
No, those parts should be shortest, right? How many such shortest path is possible, right?
So if it is forming the word as well, then that's a path. Okay, so you're saying it's only the shortest. If it is a long one also, then we'll be neglecting that. If it is
exactly, yeah.
Because
The problem is the shortest.
Yeah, in this case, he said like if you go to cog, if you can go from log, dog, and then cog, right? So instead of that, we should find the shortest one in that, and if you have more number of these, we return that.
Yeah. It's like earlier, like word one. I mean, what do you say? Word ladder one was like simply we have to find the shortest path and return, right?
Right.
Word loader, we just wanted to send the number, not the path. Here we are actually passing the path also, returning the path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Or not, I think so. That's possible.
But here your end word itself is not inside your word list, so no such transformation is possible.
Yeah. So if so therefore I was saying like begin word won't be a part of word list, but end word has to be a part of word list.
Word list.
Yeah. Okay.
And all the lengths are equal.
Yeah, that is what is there.
Otherwise, it won't be shortest, right? One is 4, other is 5. Then.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Does the and must be a part of the word list? It does not, right? Because as long as we can translate to the destination, then that'd be okay.
But it has to be there, no? Like.
Why?
What are you saying, Leon? End should not be a part of word list.
It could be not.
No, that is
the word is
actually,
not part of the. Yeah, if the word is not part of the end list, then there's no way you can actually get to the last word.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the destination word.
Destination. Yeah?
But I thought as long as you can transition from one of the word list to the end word, then that'd be okay, right?
there is an example also like that. If you see the last example, it says, so you
He's
have
telling that from the word that we have got inside,
not there.
From that we try to form an end word. Right? I mean, you want to customize that word, like you want to create it from the word which we have already in the word list, the end word, if it is not present. Is it? I mean, I didn't get it.
Yeah,
No,
so
but
if
this
that,
is good to clarify, Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was just saying that if the end word is not there, then we don't have a destination like where we want to reach. So
Yeah, but Leon is saying that if we can create, like they have given a rule to change one letter and then create a word. So he's telling that let's say you second last word is log and you'll try to create cog out of it. and then put it inside your word list, and then
Okay.
but I don't think, I mean, here we are not
But
supposed to
if
do.
you say here we don't have a C, right? So we can't form the N word.
Yeah, but suppose we have like Sasha say, right? LOG, right? Then, we can, map that L log to cog.
But it's like
We
we have
can,
to
yeah, we
reach
can
to
try run it and see if it works.
No, it fails on the example 2.
we have to reach to a particular word.
Yeah, at
That is
least
what.
this is a scope over here. You
And
will
that
get a
should
word
be in
list.
the word.
No,
Right.
they have already given the end word, but they haven't mentioned it inside the word list. So artificially, we can generate out of the words from word list, and then put it inside the word list, and then reach the end. But that is like, I mean, it's too much,
That's a
right?
check we can do at the first step. If the end word is not present in a word list so end word is not present in the word list, then it's a
Yeah.
Yeah, that is specific to this question, right? I mean, like,
yes.
Yeah, but in the requirement clarification, we can actually get it clarified from the interviewer about this, so we don't end up in the situation what you are saying.
Yeah.
But like that, then there will be no such situation in which you will not reach the end word if we can artificially create.
It depends on the situation, right? So what it is.
Yeah, that also we can.
I think we can always reach, right?
Yeah, I think we will always reach because we can create that word, right?
Yeah, because
We
the length
cannot
always
amend the word list, no? So if it's not in the word list, so it's obviously there's no path to it.
Right. So that is what the scope is for this example. That's correct. But that's a good point, Leon. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
good to keep in mind because at the end moment the interviewer might change and then we are stuck up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how would you like to proceed in a brute force way? Yeah.
Wow, brute force for this.
Yeah,
go from one string to one word, the bigger word, and look for each and every word. Pick up the closest word. Then we have to compare if it is a different by one letter, right? So you can actually, because all of them are lowercase, so we can change each and every letter, like take the size of that word and start from the 0th index of that word and keep on changing each and every word from A to Z, and then find if we are able to find that word in the word list. If we are able to find, then take that and keep on doing it.
So it's like we need to check each and every index of the word. For example, if we are starting with HIT, then HIT, first of all, let's start with A to Z of in H. Start replacing H with A, then B, then C, and start. While doing it, check if any word is present in this list, and then move again with I, and then A to Z, like this.
Yeah. So, but I really doubt whether that is a brute force, because that might be more like a normal way of doing it, right?
Isn't brute force DFS? I thought it would be a DFS kind of
That
thing.
was like a BFS or DFS, yeah. So I'm not coming up with a brute force though.
Okay,
But,
so with the brute force, I think like even let's say suppose we find one path, right? Then how do we find all the paths?
Okay, take that path, okay, and then build on that path. So when you go from HIT, you keep on changing each and every indexes. If you end up in the hot, getting a hot word in that case, take that hot word and again do the same thing what we did for hit. So then you keep on finding any other word. So, but in this case, it will be like, what will be our end case?
Yeah, but that path may not be enough, right? Because
Absolutely, yeah.
you have a path to only one destination, but there could be many other paths, outside of that one.
Yeah. So recursively, we keep doing it for each and every.
So can't we do one thing like we club those you count all those words which are found by shuffling one character, right? Like hot and dot will be in one packet, and dog and cog will be in one packet, because by changing one word you can and once you have found the one path, just do the permutation of it. Those many such paths you can get.
Correct.
But
Can you say again, Sachin?
it's like, see, hot and dot can be clubbed in one pair, because by changing one word from hot you can go to dot. And when you are a dog and cog can be in one packet, because by changing one character from dog you can go to cog. Now you have already found one path: heat, hot, dog, and cog. Now just permutation of those, like hot and dog. One permutation, that other permutation would be dog and cog.
What if we have overlapping, like a word that can be belong to different group? Because
So,
you can change one
within
character,
group-
right? So
Within packets,
what if
I'm saying,
we change the word list itself, like we change the order of it, so that we make sure that it's sorted according to the least iteration, like least difference between the two. So for example, so you can see here dog and lot, they don't belong next to each other. So why don't we sort it and take them further apart, so that it will be easy for us during the iterations. Like we need multiple answers, right? So it will be easier for further iterations as well.
no, but
So that
if,
is
if
something.
I'm saying if we shuffle them within packets, then there is no problem, right?
No,
If
no,
we shuffle,
I'm saying from the word list, like we sort the word list first and then we move on to the problem.
yeah, that will be better, because that's a small optimization you are doing.
Yeah, that is okay. But I just wondering, when you are outputting them, they won't be in the order which this might be looking for, correct? Because if you see somehow,
Hot and dot are next to each other, which is fine, but dog and lot are also next to each other, which they don't belong next to each other.
Yeah.
if you do a sorting, maybe I'm not sure though.
Can you please suggest again why we going for sorting?
He's saying that if you go by sorting, oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm saying that if we sort it, then we won't have to find the next iteration. We won't have to go through the whole list again.
So
if
you're
we sort
sorting on
it,
what basis?
and we are sorting it on the basis that see here, hot and dot are fine. They belong next to each other. And next, dog also belongs next to the dot, but the lot doesn't belong next to dog. So we move lot to the beside cog or something. Yeah. So dog log can come after dog. So after we sort it is what I'm saying.
Okay, so you're sorting on the basis of differences.
Yes.
Value.
But let's say
Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure that it helps. I mean, in the worst case, we'll still go to a word which is more than one distance away from the current, right? In the DFS algo, in the DFS code.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
In the DFS code, when we are at we might have situation when the difference between the begin word and the top of the word list is greater than 1, right?
Yes, it is possible, but then we can imagine this word list to be not in a linear fashion. We can imagine it to be a circular array. Then it wouldn't it solve the problem?
I'm not sure I understand that. I mean, even if we make it like a circular array, then I mean, till the top will be like, could be at difference more than one, right? Or no?
Yeah, you never know. That optimization might be useful.
Right.
Yeah, you never know. But actually, yeah, just sorting it's not going to help actually, because you'll have to go through the whole path, right?
Yeah,
So you'll have to find out, yeah.
Yeah, we will have to go through it once, and for the further iterations, we won't need it. So, for example, if we sort it here, we can go with hot dot dog, then log comes next to it, then lot comes, and then cog comes.
But
So
if we sort, then hot will be after dot, right? That is what you're saying if you're sorting.
yeah, so we can decide the criteria, like, yeah.
But,
So it
but
will
the
be like
output will be messed out, right? So
yeah,
not sure whether it will accept.
But once we find the target, we can make sure that we can be assured that all our paths will be on a single line, so we won't need to jump around in the array. We won't need to jump around in the word list. Find the next word.
I'm not sure if we'll get the shortest path like this.
I did it I took a little different approach. Instead of using a word list, I use an ordered set. And
So what did you use? You used a DFS approach or a BFS?
yeah. No, I just use a DFS.
Okay. So what did it go through well?
No. I hit TLE.
Right.
It was like a recursive brute force approach only. So it hit
Okay.
TLE.
So we are looking for the shortest paths, right? So
Right. I
DFS
eventually got all the paths. And then picked the shortest.
Okay. The same length one. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but probably need to
Then
cut
it's
it
all the
shorter.
permutation and then take the permutation which works for you. Something like that, right?
Yeah. Because actually when it is the shortest part, you always tend to come with a BFS approach, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm not sure why Ronnie went with the DFS, but I also tried with the BFS earlier. The way he was saying, taking it, unordered set, but it did not work for me in some test cases for the BFS. Then I went through the DFS, and I landed in the similar issue what he is talking about.
Yeah, I think that first we have to find find the first destination, use the BFS, and you say, the distance, how many level you can make it from the source to the destination, right? Let's say 5 level. Then later when you DFS, you only do 5 level. Only if you go, one more level, that means, you're not gonna get the result, right? You can cancel that.
So you are saying that first do a BFS approach, get the level, okay?
Yeah.
And
right.
then use that level to find in the DFS.
Yeah, and then you can, I think you can prune that way.
That's
so that you don't
interesting.
need to go extra path.
Okay.
Because the problem is you might keep going deeper and deeper, right? But then, you get a longer path.
No, but even if you do a BFS come to a level, you have been doing almost many states, correct? You are crossing many states. Again, then you're going the DFS way. I think 2 things in a one, it will surely hit a TLE. Because for just using a BFS approach for the whole one, it surely hits TLE if you don't optimize it very well. And if you go through DFS also, it hits on a TLE. So if you're doing a combination of both of them, I am very doubtful about that, whether it will go through.
You do first. First, you have to do BFS, right? The breadth first search, you get, the shortest path.
Yeah, maybe.
And
maybe.
then from there, you can use it to prune the depth first search.
Yeah, it might be possible. I'm not sure, but my experience is it's very complex. Maybe some other way of using a BFS in a very optimized way would help. Because I'm sure there is only a BFS approach. That is what most of them are talking about. Yeah, sorry, Ronnie, I interrupted yours. Yeah, Leon, you're okay, right? What I'm saying? Or if you have an approach, you can discuss, no problem.
maybe can we just draw, how we get from, for example, one, how you get from head to core, so we can, identify the path.
Okay. Ronnie, you want to go ahead? You did the DFS approach, right?
I mean, it's okay. No,
The
can
way
you explain?
he is saying you said.
Yeah, okay, I'll share the screen. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So
I think he was expecting something on the whiteboard. Correct, Leon?
Yeah, we can draw because I think it's better to know, how to get there first before look at the
Okay.
code.
Okay, just a minute. I'll see your whiteboard.
Yes, Sketchpad. Okay. Well.
Just a second. Let's take an example. I'm alright. Okay. I'm very bad at this. It'll take me time. Let's say we have a word. HIT. From HIT, this is a start. You all can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
So, and this is our word list is this. So what I did was I started from HIT. I picked this H, the first character, and I simply iterated from A all the way to the last character Z. I applied every possible character. So it went like it became AIT. I tried whether it is available in the word list or not. Since it was not, then continue, then B, then C, and all the way to Z. Since any of the characters, any of the words were not available in the word list, I moved from H to I. So now it is HIT. Now I'm trying to focus on this. This is the second index one, right? So now I tried HAT, hat, it is not available. Then HBT and so on. Then I found HOT, right? So HOT was visible in the was available in the word list. So now what I did was I again called DFS on HOT with my end was as cog, and now my new word list is all the words
HIT and
except
HOT.
No, my new word list is all the words except HOT because HOT was already visited, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I since again called DFS and this is my start. Then again start from HOT, then try AOT. It's not available. BOT, COT, DOT, COT not available, and then DOT. DOT is available. Then again called DFS on DOT.
Oh.
Yeah.
So actually reducing the word list, so you avoided using a visited array. Okay.
Yeah, because it was another set, so it really doesn't matter. The operations are O1, and even if I keep another visited array, it will still be O1. So not much of a difference.
Okay.
So this way I went, and once I found the end word, then I simply updated to my array. Like so, all the okay. So I have an ans array, and once I encounter the end word, I'll just push back into this array. Once end word is found, just push it.
So instead of pushing at the end, didn't you actually do it from the beginning?
No,
Just
actually
a
I put
question.
it in the end. Yeah, I pushed it in the end, and so now the order is reversed, right?
Right.
Because I'm pushing in the end. So eventually, in the end, in the main function, I just reverse the entire array because I know the path, right?
How do we get the shortest with this?
So since it will not give you the shortest, it will give you all the possible paths.
Oh, okay.
And in the main, I
Then you
eventually
count
got the
the
shortest.
size.
Right.
He might be storing the results somewhere. Yeah.
Right. So I'll just show you what has been done.
One clarification. Can cock come anywhere in the list, or does it have to come at the end?
Sorry?
It can come anywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So this is my DFS, which gave clearly.
Can you increase your font a bit? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So this is my DFS function. This is the unordered set I'm maintaining of the word list. This is my DFS function. And can you all see this black window, whatever it is, black box? How can I remove this?
The July
We
one.
don't see.
Okay, so then it's cool. Yeah, can you see you can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
So in this DFS function, I have the begin word and the end word. And if the begin and end word are same, then just return the array, like return the vector of string. If the word list is empty, which means I have tried all possible combination and I'm not able to reach the word list, then simply return empty. Otherwise, I have this array. And now I'm trying to reach from the begin word to the end word. Okay, so now this is my original character, and I tried all possible combinations. So alphabet is 26. So I'm trying to replace the current word, like the character at current index I, with the character a plus j, which will just give me abcd, whatever the character is. And I try to find that is this character available in the words list. If it is not available, then we can just skip it and try with the new character. If it's available, then first delete this word from the word list, because we'll be calling DFS over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just delete it, and this is a temporary array which will be like which will store the interim result. So now if I check if the begin word and the end word are same, that means I don't have to call the DFS. I just found my answer. Then just simply temp answer dot push end word. Otherwise, call DFS on this new begin word. Begin word is now this, right? Which is like the updated word. End word remains the same. Words is the unordered set from which this begin word has been erased.
Yeah.
I call the DFS. If the answer is not empty, which means we found an answer, then I iterate over all the possible answers that you got.
Mm-hmm.
And for every answer, I can just comment this. This was just for this. Okay, I was comparing if the word is not the front of the. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just comparing if the front word, like the top word, is not as the begin word. But since we are doing it on line number 20, I don't think that the check is required.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because yeah. So now on line number 29, just push back the begin word. I mean, this will not be required, or if we have, so I can just comment it as well, I think. Yeah. So we can just push back all the answers we got. Wait, yeah, we need this. I'll explain why. So let's say we are at we'll go back here. Yeah. Let's say we are at dot.
Yeah. Mm.
So till dot, what we got, let's say we got some answer. Let's say dog and then cog. Let's say we got this somehow, okay? From dot. So now when the temp answer contains this.
Yeah.
Right. So now what we are supposed to return to our parent is dog, cog, and dot. Right.
Yeah. The
so
previous
we
one.
are
Yeah.
right. Dot, cog, and dot. So this will be returned to parent. So we have to push the dot, which is like which was the begin word from the in this function call, into the answer that it returned, right? So that is what we are doing. So this is the DFS function call, and this was the begin word. So we have added this word to this vector, and this now put back this entire path to the answer. So now that's it. Now I'm just adding back this word again to the word list, which we have deleted earlier on line number 18, because we might reuse that word in some other path as well. Right?
Yeah, kind of backtracking, right?
Yeah, this is backtracking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're pushing the begin word, right?
Right.
But you are also modifying this word every time, right? So shouldn't you be pushing the original?
Yeah. No, it will not actually. So begin word is now, let's say we started with hit. So now we have reached at hot, right?
Okay.
So now in this answer, we have to push hot and not hit.
So hot is there in this your set.
Word list. Sorry.
So hot is a word which is there in the given set, right?
Right.
So you push hot and you push everything. So when do you push hit?
I have put hit in here.
Okay.
Because it will be only pushed once, right? For every path, the begin word will be only pushed once. So we just push here. I mean, I'm somewhere. Yeah, here. Line number 46.
Okay.
Which is like the main function.
Yeah, I thought you were not changing back the original word, but you are doing it, right?
Yeah, I'm doing it. Line number 36, it's being modified back again to the original word. Yeah, that's it.
So can we discuss the complexity? It's a interesting
Yeah. So we'll discuss the time. Yeah. So on line of 45, the complexity is ON, reverse, blah blah, everything is ON. So main complexity is of DFS only. Even the time complexity, even the space complexity is constant. Sorry, not constant, but ON, because I'm using the unordered set. Assuming the stack does not have any space complexity, not counting the implicit stack for DFS. So the cost for DFS will be, I think, n square, because we are, 26 into n square. So I'm iterating over all the words, right? And I'm trying to update every character,
right?
And which is like 26 times. And begin word, let's say the number of characters in the word is n only. So this loop is for 26 into n times, right? From line number 13 to line number 15. And the DFS function call, which is being done, it will again go up to maximum n words only. So n words, where n is like the length of the words, like length of the word list.
Right.
So the worst case time complexity will be, I think, 26 into n square. And this erase function has like constant time complexity, and pushback is again constant. Insert is again constant. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
you are clear.
Yes.
The entire total space complexity will be like 26 into n square, considering the number of words and the number of characters in a word is n.
The voice is breaking on me.
So exponential, right?
Not exponential, polynomial, right? 26 into n square.
Yeah. So 26 to n square, that's exponential, isn't it?
Okay.
Because it's like
I'm
if
not very
normally
sure.
we have like 2 to the n, that's already.
But in
2 to the n
26
is
also, he's just
exponential,
looking
right?
for one. Yeah, actually, even if you're going through 26 words, whatever is forming, he's just going through only one word at a time, right? In a DFS.
Right.
So it's not that exponential, right?
I don't think it's exponential. I only think it's n squared, so it's polynomial. It should be polynomial. Can you explain, Leon?
Yeah, because if let's say it depends on the length of a word, right? Let's say the length is like you say 10. So wouldn't that be 26 to the 10, right? Because at each position we have 26 options.
Right.
Yeah, it will have 26 options, but when you are actually going through DFS, then only your time complexity matters, right? But not all of them are going through, all the 26 are going through. Whenever he finds a word which is in the word list, only that will go in that DFS, correct?
Yeah,
But even
we
if let's
cannot make
assume
that because the word list could be big, right?
right.
Right. Word list could be booked. That is correct. But the
I mean, still
26 factor actually really doesn't add to that. That is
Right.
what I'm trying to say.
So it will be n squared only in the end, right? It will not be exponential.
No, it won't be, I mean, 26 into n square, because see, for every word, you are trying to replace every character with all the characters, as well as, I mean, so if you see the depth at every node, the number of, what should I say, the number of childs in that for the next level emanating from that particular node is not, can be greater than n, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think like it like a tree with an n-ary tree with 26 children, then you can expand it down and you'll see it.
But in 26 go over there.
No. I agree that all words won't be visited, but we still have, the number of childs are increasing per level. That is my, it won't be 26 into n square.
How is the number of child increasing per level?
At one level, say you are at hit, right? So for H, you are exploring 26 options, right? Let's talk about the worst case.
Okay.
So for H, you have 26, and then you move to I, and then you move to T.
Right.
And you do this for every node in that tree. So at particular level, you are like creating 26 into the length of the word levels.
Right.
Is it?
Yeah, at every node you are keeping that,
Yeah. 26.
At the time we are changing only one.
Yeah, actually, that is okay. So if you think of optimizing that on that front, the way I did was, used an unordered map. And what I'm trying to do is actually replacing each and every letter with a star. Okay. And what you say, a very special character. Okay. And then I'm trying to form adjacency list out of it. Okay. In that case, then you would think, okay, that should be an optimized way of doing it because you are not going through this 26. But still, I hit a TLE also in that case. I'm almost doing the same thing what he is doing in the DFS approach, but I'm still hitting a TLE. So, if you think on that front, it is adding more, time complexity, then I'm really not sure, actually that is working that way.
Yeah, but that's because that you may travel, more than necessary, right? But if you think about like a circular linked list, right? You can travel down, right, all the way down, and then you travel back to the loop. It close to the beginning. That will be that for each path, right? That will be time consuming.
Yeah, maybe, but so what will be the most optimized way of doing it? Because in the optimized way also, in the optimized way also, they are using the same ABC approach, the way he is using it, the BFS approach. Yeah, maybe.
I like to suggest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like to suggest a change which I think might optimize this. What Ronnie did is he changed every letter 26 times, right? So in the word list, let's say the length of every word is n. So the total number of possibilities of the total number of possible words in the word list is at most 26 to the power n, right? and he's exploring all of those possible words. So instead of exploring all of those words, we from every node we can just traverse the word list and then check if the word we are currently at is reachable from the current word by just changing one letter. I'm not sure if I was clear. Was I clear?
Yeah. Actually, you are trying to say, instead of going through forming all those combinations, of A to Z for each and every letter, you are saying that just look for the changed word, whether it is there in the word list, correct? And from a sort of an adjacency list or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, but that is still not solving that, it's still hitting clearly for many of the solutions. So do you remember there is that word ladder, another word ladder, which actually is also using BFS, but it doesn't go through, it doesn't actually go through, means we still get a TLE if we do the normal BFS approach. So you have to start with use two queues from start and the end together, and then keep on coming to the middle, and then you can actually find out. So that will be some optimization to be done, something like that.
Bidirectional BFS.
Right, bidirectional BFS. So, but in this case, I didn't look for that. But when I was looking through, they said you can go through paths instead of going through the normal BFS. But if you can look through path, one solution I found, and then actually you can arrive at a solution. But still, that is also in very high time complexity. But it is at least passing.
No, Santosh, we are just saying that complexity won't be 26 into n square. I mean, that might or might not pass in the TLE is a different thing. We are just saying that time complexity won't be 26 into n square.
Okay. So what do you think in that Ronnie's case it will be?
So you can assume that the longest can be till the depth. I mean, all the words can come in that depth. I mean, the whole path, right?
Okay. So all of them will come as a path. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that I mean it would be 26 into n into that path length. 26 into that string length into that path length. I was assuming that. I mean, since we don't traverse certain words, it can still reduce. But how much it will reduce, that I can't say.
No problem. So yeah, that's a good thing. So you are saying, okay, if we take it again whiteboard. So you are saying, okay, 26
could be n only, right?
Multiplied by path length could be n.
So in the worst case.
Okay, let us actually go to what Uday is saying. Okay, so 26 into you are saying the length of the whole word list. Okay, I just say length of word list. Okay,
yeah, length of the word list.
Okay, and then what did you say other than that?
Into length of that length of the string.
Okay, length of the string, that is constant, right? In this case, okay, the length of each string will be something. Okay, W least of 0. I went outside.
Yeah, one of that string length. I mean, all the strings would be of equal length.
Right. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Why I'm trying to actually do this, because this might give us a clue why we are all hitting a TLE, right? So, but still, this is very easily achievable, correct? It won't be a matter of very high on the time complexity.
No, it depends upon number of words you are having, right? If it is 5,000 words and if that length of, can we take a sample length and can we calculate it?
Okay, let's do with this one only, right? Okay, the first one what we have, though it's not a very good sample.
Yeah.
So the word list actually, okay, so the word list is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the length of this one is a 6 word list length, and each word length is about 3.
3.
Okay, so this is the word length. Okay, so in this it will be 26, correct, into 6 into 3, correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. If you want to take an example where it hits daily, I just have one. Okay, in this this word length is just 2, and the number of words is okay. Give me a second. I'll just count all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Okay, 25 is like almost 100. So this is 100. Okay, so that is where I was getting a T list. So it will be 26 into 100 into 2.
Oh, length of the string is 2.
Yeah, length of the string is just 2.
Oh.
So there
I
I
have
have. Yeah.
I just got an idea. So instead of taking all the 26 alphabets, first we go through the word list and make a hash map or something like what all the characters are present, and then iterate upon only those characters.
Okay.
Yeah, that will also reduce.
So you are saying just use a hash map.
Like adjacency, create the adjacency
Right.
list.
That is what you're just trying to say. Okay, so yeah, that is also good, but still, the way Uday actually is trying to analyze, and why the time complexity is too much. So yeah, that is okay. So if we have a word list which starts with hot, so if it starts with hot, then we have dot. We have a
You
dog.
just make
Okay, so
a
log.
unique set of all the characters.
Right, so log and then cog, right? So in this, what we can do is, so how do you want to start? If we have a
So
map.
H O E will be there, and Z will be there, and C.
So what do you want to
Sorry,
keep?
this is
What should be the key for this one? Let's take the example of first. What do you want me to make this as a key?
so. Actually, instead of we are iterating with all the 26 alphabets and then checking if the word is present in the word list or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what my thought process is like, just take the set of all this, all the characters, and just iterate upon those characters itself, instead of all the 26 alphabets.
Okay.
Because words will be formed only from those characters.
So instead of 26, we might have only 10 characters.
Mm-hmm.
So will that help with the
That's again a big thing. If the word list is very long length.
Worst case, you can get 26 letters as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Santosh, I think my equation is also wrong. I mean, when I tried to draw that tree, each level would be 26 into n, and it will increase in a geometric progression.
Yeah,
1 plus
that is what I'm
26
saying. It
into
will be
3,
something
1.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at each level, we have 26 options for each character.
Right.
It's,
Oh yeah,
it's 26 into 26 actually.
26 into the length into length. So that's
26 raised to that word length.
Word length. Yeah.
Could we look at the discussion? There's a one thing they say that they can solve it only a simple breadth-first search.
Yeah, so I will just share that. Okay. So they are talking about this one, right? It can be solved using BFS, correct?
Oh no, on the discussion, not the solution.
Okay, which one you want to go?
And the difficult to understand.
Yeah, it is slightly difficult though.
Yeah, and the second one.
So yeah, this guy I actually implemented also. I was looking through this. Anyway, he's using this function signature different because this is a wrapper. There is a wrapper function for this one. So what he's saying here, actually, if you look at it, the word list actually he converted into a set. That is the only difference here. So he's saying that actually the queue becomes a path. So it can be done with a very standard BFS, but the tricky idea is the BFS of paths instead of words. And if you look at the solution, okay, I just ran it and see, it is giving me 1332 milliseconds. It's all not very optimum though. Okay. So yeah, so at least it is working. That is true. And he is also using the A to Z variation, the way Ronnie is using.
So why we cannot use the previous problem like 126, where we just written the shortest path count size basically? Will that like the
which one? Which Ronnie discussed about?
No, 127 is the same problem with where we don't return the path, we just return the size of the path, right? And that is solved.
Okay, you mean to say the problem, lead code problem?
Yeah, the previous world ladder problem one.
Oh yeah, so actually that because this is a different variation. This is a variation of that problem.
Yeah, so why that approach doesn't work with this in this variation?
Because you actually have to store the paths, right? And you need to take all the paths, so that is adds slight complexity.
The approach isn't much different, but we have to store the path also.
Yeah.
Output part is different between.
Yeah, it might be possible to use it if you tweak it. I'm not saying, but we just wanted to see if we can get a very easy solution. You know, that is the way always we look for it.
Hey,
trying to find the short. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like
you understand this one? Can you explain how it works?
I actually just ran through that. You know, I just copied the whole stuff. Okay. So what he's saying is, you know, you use a queue with paths. You know, so this is our queue. He's saying you actually use in a path. You actually push paths every time. And then he's using an unordered set for that. So whenever the path size actually is greater than the level, because if you are not reaching the end of that, so you keep on incrementing the level also. Okay. So you know that you have to increase the path length. And then it is a normal BFS, exactly the way he is doing. Who Ronnie did that last time, correct? So he again going through each and every word with A to Z, and then is trying to find that if it is there in the word list. If it is not, then he's putting that in the path. Okay, or else actually using a visited array also. Very simple way, yeah.
But he created a new path, right? When would he add it to the path, the existing one?
Yeah. When actually,
no, but yeah, that is the big one.
Yeah,
that's like a
one.
queue.
Right, but when he reaches the end of the word, okay, so he actually stores that in this answer, and also stores the minimum level always. And then here actually when you come out of this for loop and when you have done with one level, I think you come out here, right, where you try to check the level, whether the previous level was something different. Then he checks that if the path size is greater than that level, then actually he updates everything again.
When would the path size greater than the level? Because I don't see he insert multiple items to the path.
So this answer, actually, if you see this answer, okay, this is the place where actually, this is the vector to vector string, right? So here, actually, he's just trying to keep that level. He's just trying to find if the level is different or not. Here, he's not doing much different.
But path is a vector, right? And
path is a vector of string.
Yeah, when he put new string to that vector.
So when he puts new string, actually here he puts when actually he has not found an end word. Okay, he keeps on updating. That's local actually for this for loop.
That's not the same. That's not the same path that the one we look at. This one a plural one. This one have an S.
Okay.
Right, the other one is singular.
Oh, okay. So this is the one which he gets from the top. Oh, that is Q actually, sorry. The paths is a Q, the plural one is a Q. So the path is local. So he pushes the new path in the queue. So whenever you are in the BFS traversing, actually pushes that in that queue. Whatever he has accumulated till now, that he is pushing, and at the end, actually, he is pushing it here. So this path actually, okay. So this path, what he is doing is starting for each level. He's starting a different path every time. Yeah. So yeah, there might be some trick what he is trying to do over here, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, if with just a normal BFS, he is able to at least get through in this, and get it passed through. But even if you look for the other approaches also, which I also tried, the same what Ronnie was discussing, the DFS way, you know. So that didn't work. That gave me a TLE. And also I tried to do the similar way instead of going through A to Z. I thought that might be a big thing, but that's nothing. Actually, what you guys were discussing, it actually is fine. So I was trying to do it, making this one here. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I tried what Leon has said, the similar to DFS plus BFS.
Oh, really?
And it was giving me decent time complex. I mean, the time.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
This is, I mean, I have written it 3 months back, so I might not be apparently.
No problem, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I started with the same solution, the BFS itself, but with the BFS, while I'm iterating, I'm maintaining from what words I have got this word as well. Yeah. So let's start with the starting itself. I created the set of the words, and if the word is not containing the end word, I'm just returning it. And I have added that begin word, and reach should false, depth 0, begin empty. Yeah, so it is a similar BFS itself, but with a set. So I'm having another set to store that next level.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the depth I have increased it, and I'm iterating over the queue. So that iter remove, word remove. So similar to what Ronnie has said, we remove that word. I mean, if it is already visited, kind of thing. And if the end word is, yeah, I mean, I'm reusing the set itself to to limit the number of possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the end word is equal to current, I have kept it as reached as true, and I'm getting that current array, and I'm replacing that 26 into n I'm trying to do. But what I'm doing is, after replacing, I am maintaining for the next word, I'm actually maintaining a parent set. For every word, I'm maintaining a parent set. So that will give me which words I have got this word from.
Okay, sort of adjacency list. Okay.
Yeah, adjacency list itself. Yeah, and I'm populating that map, and if I'm reaching it, I'm breaking it, and since I know that adjacency list, I'm trying to do that DFS itself.
Wow.
If
yeah,
if the parent is null, the temp, else I'm going with depth -1 and adding one of that parent to that list. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And then where do you return your?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is
Okay. The return. Okay. RET. Okay. Good. And what is the time complexity you are getting?
Not sure what the time complexity.
Yeah,
But
this
I was
is
getting
just a timing.
59.
Wow, wow, that's too great. I was getting somewhere in the 1000 range, 1300 something. Yeah, so yours much better.
Maybe if he executes now, because I mean, test cases might have changed 3 months back. This is right.
No, I don't think so. These are the hard ones, right? Usually they don't much.
I tried with that. I tried to. Based upon that word ladder one, I tried to implement that bidirectional BFS, and it was able to get that 87 or something like that.
Okay.
So
So
similar, the parent,
bidirectional. Okay.
yeah, the same. 1 minute, not this one. Yeah, I think this is the one. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is able to reach some 87% or something. The same approach, but the bidirectional AFS to calculate the depth, and the I'm similarly having that parents map as well. But when you're doing bidirectional BFS, the tricky part is how you make the parent and the child relationship maintain.
Okay, the child and parent relationship. Don't you always check the size of those two queues always at the beginning?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, still you have to maintain that relationship.
If you are coming from the backwards, the parent and child relationship will differ, right? You need to. When you're going in when you need to form the list again. Yeah, when you need to form the list again, you need to have the parent to child relationship. But if you're coming from backwards, it will be child to parent, right?
Yeah, in this case, we are actually not looking at the size of the path, but we are actually looking for the paths, right? Therefore, we have to maintain that. The earlier one did not have that.
What is this bidirectional BFS? I didn't get that part.
It's like you're having a BFS from both sides, front side and the back side.
Okay.
Source to and you will meet somewhere in between. You will start from source in both sides, and somewhere you will meet in between. So rather than explicitly going from one to other side, it saves your time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't use a queue, you use a set in that case.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is also very good solution, right? Because you got only 87 milliseconds, right, for this one, the bidirectional one.
No, 87%, and the timings are 57 or something. 59.
Oh, that's much good then. Okay. So yeah, what Leon was also mentioning, that works perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I thought it would be very complex to do it. Yeah, it is complex to do it though, but actually it works. That's very important.
Yeah. I thought your approach would also work. You were using that generic string kind of approach that was said by Rajendra or someone, right?
Yeah. But
that
actually,
should also.
Well, actually, I thought that, but the 26 word actually doesn't matter here. That is why I coming through, you know. So, but if you just do it in that generic way of creating an adjacency list using all those keys of those special character ones, but that doesn't make much of a difference if the test case is a very big one.
Okay.
That is what I come to a conclusion looking at all that. Therefore, I was trying to discuss and find why I'm getting a TLE. But yeah.
So just to validate my understanding, the Ronnie's time complexity is exponential, right?
Yeah, now Uday. So it is exponential, yeah, because anyway, even mine also is exponential. So in your case, how we were able to optimize, because we hit on one of the level, right? So as soon as we found the shortest path, we just came out of it. We didn't explore all the other paths, right? So because the shortest path, if we had that example, what I was trying to say, where I had a input of word list which was 100 and each word length was only 2. In that case, actually, where I was hitting a TLE, so if I would have gone for the way Leon, you both discussed about finding a level first, so I might have got a level very easily first instead of going through all the paths for each and every one. So getting that level and then just looking for that level in a DFS way, it would be an optimized way of doing it. Right. So in that case, I would say it won't be what you say exponential, because for finding path, maybe like the size of maybe the every word list, maybe maximum that might be one, and then you go through each and every one to find it. So that will be something to do with the DFS approach, because now you are restricting the level. Correct? You are not going through each and every level. You are just pruning it somewhere. So that might reduce. That is what my thoughts. Yeah, Uday?
I didn't say anything. Sorry.
Yeah. Now Leon say. Leon should say about that. Yeah.
Leon left, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
So I just lost my internet in the last 5 minutes. So we have discussed that pruning solution and the bidirectional BFS. Both those two solutions.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Uday, please share your both codes. That will be very helpful. So like to go through that in the.
Are they different from what was there in the discussion? What you were explaining?
Yeah, it was very specialized for the one he made it. They were not in the discussions, correct, Uday?
Not sure. I mean.
Yeah, that's fine. But whatever it is, at least it's very specific, so we can actually go through it. Yeah.
A bit unique it was like.
Yeah, but time complexity is slightly question mark, but it's surely not exponential, or else it will surely hit TLE, correct? If it is exponential.
Yeah.
Maybe we look at the code and then we'll come to know. Just try to analyze it more. Harshit.
Yeah. So I thought so even Ronnie's solution is not exponential.
Okay.
Because
Ronnie's solution is a DFS approach, and in DFS also what we cannot prune in the DFS, right? If you find a level, yeah, we should be able to prune. If I'm not sure, did he prune it? Maybe that is one thing Ronnie also needs to look in. It might be helpful there also if he just tries to prune it, because if you find a first level which is less smaller, then you can use it. Because after that, yeah, in a DFS solution, you can find different levels, correct? Anytime. So you might always find a level which is smaller than that. So therefore, you cannot do anything. So therefore, if you go through the BFS approach, find a level, so you know that is the least level you are going to get. And then when you are going through a DFS, whenever you find a level, if it is greater than, you just stop going there. And if you will never find a smaller one anytime in the DFS, what Uday did. So that is the only way we can prune it, I would say. Because we need some reference, right? How we can prune it at what level.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then we can use that, and then the DFS will also work in that case. Am I right, Uday?
Yeah, it might work.
Yeah, because his DFS solution and my DFS solution, he is using that A to Z concept, and I'm using that star concept what Rajendra discussed, right? So both of them were actually giving a TLE. So then I'm thinking, why, as Harshit said, why can't we prune it? So I was thinking, how we can't prune it because we don't know the level when we are going through the DFS, right? When we arrive at one level, we are not sure whether that is the minimum level. So for that, if you do a BFS and find the minimum level first, and then go through our DFS approach, because now we know the level, so we can prune it very well. So then that might be an optimized version of doing it. Okay. Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ados.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. Yeah.
thank you guys. Thanks, Harshit.
Thank you. Thanks. Good day.